So this is kind of a big topic to take on for my third video ever, but I did want to talk about hate following and gossip circles. Before I start, disclaimer, there's going to be some slurs from quotes from other people, there is some discussion of body shaming, and mostly there's just a whole lot of general ass hattery. Before we begin, this video will not be addressing fan or stan activity, parasocial interactions, digital self-harm, or the consequences of the hate-following behaviors on the recipients. There's more than enough content there for another video if I were to feel the interest in making it. I promise nothing. I'm also not going to use the haters are just jealous argument because that statement is shallow, it's vague, it convinces no one. The you mad argument has been done to death and I'm not here to beat a dead horse. This video was inspired by several things actually. Most notably the recent events in the online commentary and beauty communities. Also inspired in part by a former friend I had that hate followed another girl to the point of stalking and harassing her and taking her photo in public without her consent. And to be completely transparent, part of this is from my own guilt over having posted hateful anonymous comments when I was a dumb little teenager. I caught myself starting to watch the tea commentary videos during the recent fuss in the beauty community and realized old hate follow instincts were coming back. So I wanted to make this video to encourage myself as well as others to remain positive, constructive, and helpful, and not to give in to guilty pleasures like gossip and self-righteous habits. Here, I'm going to use two examples in regards to hate following and gossip circles. Number one, an article written about a candid photo of Scarlett Johansson on a celebrity gossip site. The author not only laughs at Johansson's cellulite, which 93% of women have, by the way, but also mocks her speaking out regarding her privacy being invaded, and even derides the actress's career. By the looks of her cellulite, the author writes, she won't have to worry about being burdened with those sexy roles for much longer. A comment that clearly has not aged well. Number two, a recent post on 4chan's fitness board regarding former professional wrestler Brock Lesnar. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Don't know if you can tell, not a super huge wrestling person. This post accuses Lesnar of only having his fame and financial success due to his physique, accuses him of being autistic, and uses the lovely term juicy cunt to describe him. So, your usual 4chan fare. These two are low-hanging fruit, I'll give you that. So much online hate is focused on just a person's body. I may throw in some examples of my own previous misconduct, so long as I feel I can be specific enough with my examples. To be young and stupid. First off, what is hate following? Hate following is repeatedly viewing or otherwise engaging in social media content generated by someone you hold in contempt. Whether it's because of their content, their conduct, their political views, what you consider to be misuse of talent, deliberately visiting their content over and over again is hate following, even if you never click that subscribe button, though plenty still do. Hate following has its own ramifications, even if never acted upon. Viewing content, even when it's content you hate, can become addictive. You sink into that just one more stupid Instagram story, the same way you fall into just one more episode, just one more potato chip, just one more entire pint of ice cream from Target on the same day. Try to pretend like you weren't there earlier. People often justify hate following in one of two ways. Oh, it's a guilty pleasure, just like watching badly scripted television or B-movies, and is therefore socially acceptable as a hobby. Or this person's content is problematic or wrong, and I have a moral obligation to endlessly review their content and let every person in the comment section know just how much I dislike them and how wrong they are. I can't go to bed. Someone on the internet is wrong. Both guilty pleasures and thinly justified outrage feel good on the surface, don't they? Hate following can have this bizarre sense of pleasure for a moment, even though it does nothing to help you and everything to harm you in the long run. You're also viewing this content because you're comparing yourself to this person whether you mean to or not. You want to feel better than someone. You might say out loud that it's about holding people accountable or taking them down a peg, but you want to feel better than them. You want to call them too fat or too skinny so you feel better about your own body. You tell yourself that they're liars so you can feel like a more honest person. Or maybe you just want to call them stupid so you can feel more intelligent. Yellow J, of the Scarlett Johansson article, reports, it's amazing that Scarlett thinks that people taking pics and acting nervy is the worst that humanity has to offer. Is she that stupid? That out of touch? Probably. Yellow J may feel that he or she is holding Johansson accountable, but they're really just justifying their own actions with insults and whataboutism. For me, when I was 19, I used to say some pretty awful things about people that were more popular and talented than me, which in retrospect was because I felt like I had a hard time making friends. In the case of the 4chan post on the fitness board, it looks like since the post's author acknowledges he does not have the same physique, he instead puts down listeners' social capabilities and lack of online presence. Honestly, with the exception of the autistic comment here, I'd argue that every one of these is an objective positive attribute. If Brock doesn't require social media to stay relevant in his profession, has no need to actively seek sponsors, I would say he's doing remarkably well. But I guess that's not how you see things if you're lonely, bitter, and pissing into the internet's largest ocean of piss. By the way, I tried to find more information about the Scarlett Johansson article's author, Yellow J, but despite many types of searches, I could not find so much as a solid journalistic profile with even a single qualification, let alone a headshot or a social media portfolio. Sure, maybe Yellow J is actually a world-famous, Oscar-winning actress built like a brick on a house. But writing an article about the fact that Scarlett Johansson has cellulite makes me think it's more likely that the author is insecure about his or her own physical appearance. Alright, this part's petty, but I have to say it's funny to have the author call Johansson's acting chops into question when I can't find a single article with even one relevant, reliable source in their archive. Dude, forget Johansson, Riley Reid is more of an actress than this person is a journalist. Okay, I'm done being petty now. Probably. Maybe I should get some tea just in case. But now I'm going to get back on my soapbox without a trace of irony or self-awareness. It's like a whole shenanigan. Oh, I spilled it. Okay, I got my chai. Twinings, please sponsor me. People who either stan or hate follow the same people are likely to fall into the same gossip circles, where people trade information, opinions, and receipts, don't even get me started, regarding the same person or group of individuals. Putting people down publicly creates a false sense of leveling the playing field. If I'm not as famous as Kylie Jenner, but I have just as much access to tell her that her brush set is comically overpriced as a real beauty guru, that either brings her closer down to my level or brings me closer to her level, since I am interacting directly with her on the same plane as a real celebrity. Engaging in hate comments also helps give commenters a sense of identity. They can easily find like-minded individuals who they can validate and encourage, and be validated and encouraged in return. This, of course, does not include constructive criticism. As an example, a lot of people hate follow Donald Trump, current president of the United States. Is it 2020 yet? Depending on your political leanings, your criticism of Donald Trump may sound something like this. Donald Trump's immigration policies do not address the expired visas of immigrants who are already here. Or, Donald Trump's immigration policies target non-white or non-Christian immigrants. A hateful comment, bereft of any degree of helpfulness that only serves to make the commenter feel pious, would look something like this. Donald Trump is an angry, stumpy, poo-flinging orangutan clutching onto his daddy's wallet and screaming from the treetops. It may be funny, depending on your perspective, but it doesn't support an argument or offer an honest critique of his policies, and ultimately all it does is fan the partisan flames. So what are the consequences of hate following and engaging in gossip? To start with the obvious, you're biased as hell. You're not capable of evaluating fairly. And not only are you evaluating unfairly, but you're actively harming your ability to evaluate in an objective manner. A study conducted by doctors Nicholas Epley and Nadav Klein, which I'm probably also pronouncing incorrectly, reported that people are more likely to assume that others are less concerned about negative consequences and are more capable of egregious, horrible acts than themselves. Moreover, people tend to look at their own actions with an internal perspective, wherein they assign feelings and motivations to their actions, sometimes to justify them should things go awry. They will then, however, see the actions of others through an external perspective and then attempt to assume those person's feelings and motives. In the instance of tea, or commentary or gossip channels or sites, this is especially dangerous, as wishful social detectives often infer as much negativity as possible to maximize viewership, sometimes passing up on acknowledging context entirely, and irresponsibly broadcast speculations about an individual's personal or professional life. How many people accuse James Charles of countless wrongdoings and saying he was cancelled thanks to poorly founded insight from tea or commentary channels? This is even more dangerous when you consider that a person can become addicted to these drama channels, whether as a form of escapism from their current problems, or because they've become so complacent in their own lives that they require some kind of outside stimulation to keep their attention. Hate following doesn't just distort your sense of righteousness and ability to evaluate behavior, but it can even warp your ability to see what you do or do not have control over. You may have heard about a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, which I'm probably also pronouncing wrong. This is one of the best-selling books of all time. In this book, 2 aspects of daily life are discussed: the circle of concern and the circle of control. Your circle of control is, naturally, the aspects of your life over which you can exert influence. Your relationships, your home, your job performance, and your own personal habits are all things you have at least some control over. Your circle of concern, however, is comprised of everything you concern yourself with on a regular basis, regardless of whether you can control it or not. This includes not only things in your circle of control, but also what is called your low information diet. Information you may choose to take in that has little relevance to your own life, over which you have no control. This includes celebrity news, your classic fear-mongering news sites, and the infamous Facebook comments section. We're all guilty of scrolling down past a video or article while thinking, this comment section should be a proper dumpster fire. But at what point does this become an impulse, then a habit, and then a compulsion? Long story short, the more and more energy you spend to distract yourself, whether deliberately or not, with things outside your control, the less time you spend managing things that do fall within your ability to control. This can, of course, lead to all sorts of problems, whether it be delusions of your ability to control the thoughts and opinions of those around you, or a counter-reaction wherein you feel even more insignificant than ever before. In my case, it was the latter. No matter how much hate I espoused anonymously, I hardly changed the mind of others, and those people were not anyone with any more influence than I had. After some time, I began to feel like none of my opinions mattered, even those I attached my name to, and my response was to spout all my opinions even louder and more frequently. As you can guess, this wasn't too popular among my friends, especially since most of them didn't voice any disagreement with me the way people would on anonymous forums. You may convince yourself that your hate following and gossiping don't affect the rest of your life, but remember, nothing exists in a vacuum, and as discussed before, you're not capable, as a human being, of evaluating your behavior as well as you think you do. Engaging with the person's other detractors can also harm your sense of identity. You're choosing to identify with the group that defines itself as what it isn't, instead of what it is. You may not support a celebrity, an athlete, a beauty guru, journalist, political figure, but by spending a disproportionate amount of time voicing your lack of support for this person, you're not allowing yourself the time to find out who or what you do support. Supporting one thing doesn't just mean choosing the opposite of that thing. Instead of researching a person or organization you hate, instead research people or organizations that support and advocate for the same things that you do. But most of all, negativity is boring. It's draining. You'll internalize that negativity and look down on yourself more and more as you begin to examine everything with this cruel, critical lens. Your friends and followers will be bored by your obsession with your most despised influencer or most loathed celebrity. You may even begin to feel mild symptoms of depression, such as low energy levels, pervasive guilt, and a lack of motivation from constantly surveying content you dislike instead of content you enjoy. If this sounds like you, then I, as a recovered hater, encourage you to limit your time on social media. Instead, make a list of things that are within your control and note on 1 or 2 of those things you'd like to improve on. Spend the thought and energy you'd have wasted on trawling Instagram and shitposting on 4chan to improve your own life instead. As Dr. Sean O'Connell, a chartered psychologist, says, in essence, is this habit or action something you can look back on and say, I'm glad I spent my time doing that? Once you start focusing more on you and less on other people, they fade into the background. Writes Dolly Alderton, a self-identified recovered celebrity gossip addict. For years, mean-spirited, badly written gossip about people I don't know or care about monopolized these precious 8 hours in between sleep and work. Think of all the other amazing things I could be doing in that time. For me, I realized that generating negativity around people more talented and popular than me didn't make me more popular or talented. So every time I found myself on some spew hole of a website, I clicked off immediately and went to go spend some time honing my own skills, even if it was just 5 minutes organizing my workspace or cleaning up after a recent project. How many dishes can you wash in 5 minutes? How many squats can you do in 5 minutes? How many emails can you check and respond to, or friends can you reach out to? Why don't you find out and let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoy this content, and hopefully I'll see you next time.